The woke side of the internet thinks going through someone's old MySpace account makes them part of the resistance. It doesn't. It makes you a... Colonel Alexander Vindman exposing the Ukraine fiasco. Noble. That's not you taking down the host of the Ice Capades. You're a loser with Wi-Fi and all the time in the world to listen to long-forgotten podcasts. You're not a journalist. You're just a creepy little rat. Go to Texas and catch a runaway embryo.
These days, it seems like the biggest act of heroism online is digging through someone's old MySpace account. Because apparently, nothing says social justice quite like scrolling through a stranger's forgotten teenage post from 2007. Somehow, the self-proclaimed woke corner of the internet has decided that finding an old joke or awkward comment equals bravery. But here's the truth. That's not bravery, that's obsession. It's not activism. It's voyeurism with Wi-Fi. And that's exactly what Bill Maher is calling out. He's had enough of this cult-like obsession with moral purity, where people spend their free time searching through digital graves just to destroy someone else's life. This time, he didn't hold back. His latest takedown wasn't just sharp. It was brutal. Maher went straight after the hypocrisy of the so-called moral police, the people who pretend to be flawless while hiding their own skeletons deep in their timelines. You know the type. The ones who think scrolling through a 10-year-old podcast somehow makes them investigative journalists. Spoiler, it doesn't. Let's rewind for a moment. Remember when kids were told not to tattle? When nobody likes a snitch was one of the first lessons in school. Well, that rule must have been deleted from the woke handbook, because now tattling is treated like a virtue. These days, every public achievement seems to come with a built-in scandal just waiting to be discovered. Some random person finds an old tweet, and suddenly it's headline news. Take the poor guy who was supposed to host Jeopardy! Remember him? His big moment was ruined after a group of self-righteous digital detectives, Maher jokingly called them Squeal Team 6, dug up an ancient podcast where he said something that offended no one back then, but somehow became cancel-worthy a decade later.
A snitch? Now it's not a bad thing. Oh, it used to be. It used to be one of the first things we taught children. Nobody likes a tattletale. But now, virtually any public accomplishment comes with the obligatory follow-up snitch story a few days later. Like what happened with that sad schmuck who was supposed to host Jeopardy! But fortunately, the honor of game shows was preserved when Squeal Team 6 went through his old podcast and found out he once used the term whatever the that.
And the wild part is, nobody even knows when this became normal. When did we decide that spending hours, even days, digging through someone's old tweets made you a hero? That's not justice. That's obsession. That's fake outrage dressed up as virtue that, let's be honest, cancel culture stopped being about accountability a long time ago. Now it's about humiliation, control, and the quick dopamine rush of public shaming. Maher nailed it. This isn't courage. It's hypocrisy pretending to be moral superiority. And the people leading these digital witch hunts, they're usually guilty of the same things they claim to despise. They've got their own skeletons, bad jokes, dumb opinions, and probably a few embarrassing selfies they hope never resurface. Take Alexi McCammon, a young journalist who landed a dream job as editor of Teen Vogue. Huge career milestone. And then it was gone overnight because of a few harmless tweets she wrote as a teenager. Things like, now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes, and, "Hi, you're so gay."
Sorry, Mike, but we, the perfect people who have never made a mistake, we just can't let society be sullied by horrible people like you. Bye-bye. Fans of cable news will recognize the rising journalist Alexi McCammon, who was appointed editor of Teen Vogue, but then had to resign before her first day when some of her high school tweets suddenly became too much to bear. Tweets like, now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes. And, you're so gay.
Of course, the mob pounced. They demanded her resignation, and Teen Vogue folded faster than a cheap lawn chair. The irony? The senior social media manager leading the outrage, Christine David, later got caught for her own old tweets. Turns out, She had used the N-word back in 2009. Oops. Goodbye, career.
And her resignation was endorsed by the hierarchy of the magazine, including the senior social media manager, Christine Davitt. Good for you, Christine. You helped catch the Zodiac Killer. Oh no, you just ruined someone's career for no reason. Same diff. Funny end to the story. After Alexi McCammond resigned for her innocuous tweets, someone went through Christine Davitt's old high school tweets and oops.
And that's exactly the hypocrisy Maher was talking about. These self-righteous online detectives love pointing fingers, but never notice how many are pointing back at them. It's poetic. The purity police getting trapped in their own game. Maher believes the so-called purity purge might end up burning itself out because it's starting to eat its own. He even mentioned Rachel Nichols, the ESPN reporter whose career ended after a private phone call was leaked, a call where she simply expressed frustration about her employer's diversity policies. It wasn't public. It wasn't a tweet. It was private. And yet, it cost her everything.
You know, this is why I'm a little hopeful that this purity purge may end, because it's starting to eat its own. ESPN reporter Rachel Nichols was a feminist success story, but when she complained in a private telephone call about ESPN's crappy long-time record on diversity and expressed her view that she felt like she was being sacrificed by the network so they could make up for that crappy long-time record on diversity, the call was leaked and she was...
A private phone call ended her career. Think about that. In 2025, private apparently doesn't mean private anymore. Everything's fair game, as long as it earns clicks or moral points online. And Maher's right, it's terrifying. Once people start recording private conversations to destroy lives, we've crossed a line from accountability into surveillance. Society's turned into one giant tattletale convention, where betrayal is now considered virtue. Maher described it with perfect precision.
In addition to the fact that a person shouldn't have to love getting fired, even if it does achieve more equity, this was a private call. Does private mean anything anymore? Apparently not. Even sadder, this love of snitching seems to be one of the few areas that is now truly bipartisan. Snitch Nation isn't about what side you're on. It's about this mindset where everyone is an amateur secret policeman and tattling is a virtue.
The woke side of the internet thinks going through someone's old MySpace account makes them part of the resistance.
The woke side of the internet thinks going through someone's old MySpace account makes them part of the resistance. It doesn't. It makes you a...
Because there's no bravery in being a rat. There's no courage in destroying someone's life from behind a screen. You don't need guts to ruin a reputation, just Wi-Fi and bitterness. These self-appointed digital heroes think they're fighting some grand moral war. But really, it's just a sad hobby that gives them a fake sense of purpose. Maher didn't just call them out, he exposed them. He called them what they are, pathetic cowards hiding behind fake righteousness. Instead of creating something meaningful, they spend their time tearing others down. It's a digital blood sport dressed up as virtue, and it's not just one side. The far right's doing it too. Maher pointed out that Republicans have been encouraging college students to record professors with liberal views, as if turning campuses into surveillance zones somehow protects freedom.
Republicans lately, besides sponsoring that new reality show, Texas Zygote Hunters, have been encouraging college students to whip out their phones to record and report professors who espouse leftist ideas. As always, these snowflakes fall just as hard on the right as they do on the left.
And he's right to call that out too. Cancel culture isn't a left or right issue. It's a problem across the board. Both extremes are guilty of weaponizing outrage to silence anyone who dares to think differently. Whether conservatives reporting professors or progressives digging up decade-old jokes, it's the same sickness, the same cowardice. Here's the thing. Free speech was never supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to be messy, challenging, even offensive sometimes. That's how ideas grow. But now, everyone's walking on eggshells. Say the wrong word, make the wrong joke, post the wrong meme, and by Monday morning, your life might be over. And comedy? Don't even get started. It used to be the one space where people could laugh about everything. No matter your background or beliefs, comedy brought people together. Now, colleges call themselves safe spaces, but not for professors trying to challenge young minds. Try that and you're done. Comedy clubs aren't safe either. Ever since smartphones came along, comedians have complained about audience members secretly recording them and reporting jokes that cross invisible lines. And crossing the line, as Maher says, is the job description of a comedian. Even Kevin Hart wasn't spared. He lost his Oscar hosting gig over jokes he'd already apologized for years earlier. That's not progress, that's regression. It's the death of humor. When crossing a line means ending a career, comedians stop taking risks, and when comedy becomes safe, it stops being funny. And when laughter dies, culture dies with it.